Morning, Trainiacs. CBD. Hemp, which you might think of as cannabis. THC, what a little bit of the wacky tobacco, the devil's lettuce. This has been something a lot of triathletes have started thinking about incorporating into their supplementation regime for better sleep, for inflammation, for improved performance and longevity. Now, is it legit? We're going to get into that today with some experts and pros. Really good ones. So Trainiacs, CBD has been all the rage for supplementation. A lot of people are talking about starting to use it for all kinds of things, like my mother-in-law using it for pain and seizures, to my actual mother using it to help with depression. But in a lot of cases, athletes are starting to talk about using it for reduced inflammation, for improvement of sleep, for all kinds of performance-enhancing benefits. But as we've learned over the past couple of decades, not all supplements are as good as is originally touted. So what we did this past week was we got on Craig Alexander, 5-time world champion, and Dr. Andy Pruitt, who's been a researcher in sports performance his entire life, on our podcast. By the way, the Triathlon Taren Podcast is still the most highly rated triathlon podcast in the world. You should go check it out. Because both of them are associated with the company iKOR, which is one of the sport-specific CBD companies out there. And we asked them a lot of the questions that you are asking. The very first one that a lot of people asked is, what is it? I'll share what Dr. Andy Pruitt explains CBD is, but in general, it is the non-psychoactive, the non-brain altering, the non-getting you high, not the wacky tobacco, not the devil's lettuce. It is the part of the cannabis plant that is derived from hemp that doesn't get you high, but has benefits to you from a health perspective. But Andy explains it in much more intelligent sounding terms.
Cannabis stevia is the mother plant, right? And from that particular plant, two things are derived, and they're separate plants. So marijuana comes off of cannabis stevia, and it has THC, CBD, and over 100 other cannabinoids. So the cannabinoid, there's 100, I've seen numbers as high as 115, some as low as 90 some, but these cannabinoids are the potential active ingredients of the oil that comes out of the plant. Industrial hemp is the cousin of marijuana, and it has been bred to eliminate, to the best of science's ability, to eliminate the THC factor. So industrial hemp has less than 0.3% THC by law. With good selective farming and breeding, we can never say it's non-existent, but the THC trace is unperceivable, and you don't test positive from the good CBD products because of the type of the farming and selective breeding that they're doing.
The next question that you had is obviously, what are the benefits? Why should people be taking it? And a lot of people asked a lot of different questions about that. Now, one thing to note is that there aren't necessarily exact studies that are showing taking CBD improving triathlon performance. There are other studies out there that show very definitively that cortisol is lowered, so stress is lowered, you have a more calming sensation, and this is thought to then improve things like sleep, lower inflammation. And if you can do both of those two things, it has this cascading effect of improving a lot of your performance.
I had been thinking about it, and I personally, as an aging athlete, began to experiment with, I'm always tired. What can I do? I was looking for mostly recovery. I was suffering from a lot of delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS. And the older I got, the worse it got.
I had noticed from about 42 or 43 years onwards that my body was starting to deteriorate a little bit, and not the cardiovascular, not the endurance. I think that's still strong, just more the wear and tear around my body. I've always had a few issues with my lower back. So things like that were just more prevalent, and I noticed them a lot more than I had for the previous couple of decades, I guess. And I mean, if you read the science and the research, it says, it lowers anxiety. So is that the reason I sleep better? Because I've never really suffered from anxiety, I don't think, other than what a normal person would with the daily concerns of the kids and whatever else. So who knows? I mean, is it because you sleep better and you get that deeper sleep that your body recovers better, or is it the actual anti-inflammatory properties of the iKOR itself? I mean, it's hard for me to pinpoint what it is, other than I just get a general sense, a better sense of health and well-being when I take it. I certainly sleep better. And, as a 47-year-old, I still train at quite a high level. So I think it does help me back up the sessions.
The next question that people asked was with regards to sleep. Rightfully so, because sleep is like up here. Training, nutrition, it's all down here. But you have to get sleep right to allow your body to absorb all of that training and proper nutrition. Let's say CBD doesn't necessarily even directly improve performance or directly improve inflammation, but it does improve sleep. It will improve performance and it will improve inflammation just because of improving sleep.
Well, the most common are improved sleep, less anxiety. I mean, that's really what it's really the number one thing you think about is lowering that anxiety level, keeping inflammation in check. Those are things that are going to be early. It's kind of a hum without a high. It just kind of slows down things. It'll lower blood pressure, right? It'll augment your blood pressure medicine as needed, or maybe not even require blood pressure medicine. It's really anti-anxiety, anti-inflammatory, if you will.
What I noticed with iKOR is certainly it helps me sleep. I sleep a lot better when I take it. And I only really figured that out because I had been taking it, and then I went on a trip and I forgot to take it with me, and I wasn't able to get on the time zone as quickly as I had been. And so, yeah, but as far as I just don't wake up during the night. I just don't wake up at night. So,
of course, then the very intelligent folks out there ask, what are the downsides? Well, personally, anecdotally, I have seen a couple of things. Number one, it doesn't work for all people. In my case, this is illegal, and I actually have my medicinal marijuana card. If there is any THC in a product, and depending on the formulation, I get really agitated. I'm up very late, and we've also had friends here locally who have felt that same sort of thing. It actually increased their anxiety depending on the formulation, because the reaction is not stable across the board. Not everyone has the same reaction. We'll get to that. And then more seriously, Dr. Pruitt talks about how there is a level of liver toxicity that if you are taking upwards of 5,000 milligrams a day, that it can actually kill you. Like a rat died, as he put it.
Right. So the primary downside would be lightheadedness, nausea, dry mouth. Those are that we can attribute directly to CBD. In huge doses, it can cause liver disease. I'm talking about 1,000 milligrams a day in huge doses. It killed a rat at 1,000 milligrams. So I mean, that's science, right? The rat died. I got to tell you, it can interact, like I was saying, it can interact with other medicines, either accelerating their benefit or decelerating their benefit. So that's why I strongly recommend that people not go out and buy CBD based on what they hear today, that they call their physician and say, hey, I'm thinking about it, and make sure they get a buy-in and make sure that they're not taking any medicines that are going to have a negative interaction with it. Anything that's sensitized in the liver may be affected by it. There are some cholesterol medicines that are accentuated by taking CBD. So is it safe? Absolutely.
And then finally, the question was, what is the proper usage? And the thing that I'll say that I learned from this podcast, and if you want to get like basically the whole information, because this here would be a 1 hour long, actually a 90-minute video based on how much we talked to Craig Alexander and Andy Pruitt. Early in July, we're going to be publishing these 2 episodes on the Triathlon Taren Podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcast. Go listen to those 2 episodes, and it goes into this in much more depth. But the general takeaway is that it's generally assumed that for most people, you can take CBD morning and evening.
I mean, I take it twice a day, so.
The trick is to start with very, very small doses in the morning, gradually increase until you start feeling a positive effect. And then if you are still feeling a positive effect, then you can add in an evening dose. And that is going to hopefully start giving you mechanisms to find out how much is enough and when is a proper dose. And then beyond that, we talked about whether you should be taking it through a tincture, orally, or pills, or a liposomal delivery system, or creams. In general, here's what I'll say with my research for CBD. It's not a be-all, end-all, cure-all. It seems to work really well for athletes that are kind of at my late 30s, early 40s age, where you still want to train at a high level, but you're starting to feel a little beat up, a little bit dumpy. Maybe your sleep is a little bit affected. Personally, I wish that I had been taking it back in 2017 when my issues with overtraining and hormone problems started. Because if I could have stopped my cortisol from ramping up and just staying at that super high level for weeks and months on end, I would have been able to absorb training for many more years. Who's to know? Like, is a 428 half Ironman my peak? Likely not. Is a 941 Ironman my peak? Likely not. Because if I can absorb training a lot better by having better sleep and lower cortisol, this is a good thing. Is it going to work for you? We don't know. Go check out the podcast. Try it for yourself. Thanks to Crowie, Craig Alexander, and Andy Pruitt for being on the podcast. We owe it to you that the Triathlon Taren Podcast is the most highly rated triathlon podcast in the world. Find it wherever you get your podcast. Check it out. Later, Trainiacs.